Well, a very good morning, and welcome back to Recon 2014 here in the Middle East and North Africa, brought to you, of course, with the Middle East Council of Shopping Centres, celebrating 20 years, as you can see up there on the wall, and, of course, the ICSC. My name's Richard Dean. I'm a journalist and broadcaster here in Dubai, and I'll be your master of ceremonies today. I've got to say, it is fabulous to see so many people here, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed on day 2 of a conference, because I know there was some pretty high-level, intense networking going on last night after the gala dinner. So well done to so many of you for making it here this morning. And listen, your reward is bountiful, because we have got a cracking lineup today. Shortly, we're going to hear from Patricia Norins. Her insights on specialty retailing are well worth hearing. We're going to hear about the role of social media in retail, and a little bit later on, we're going to hear about the role of food in retailing as well. All this coming up soon. Talking of food, by the way, if you have a look at your table, can you see on your table? There's some nice plates of cookies, okay? Thanks to Dino Aledin of Café Gourmand for the cookies this morning. I have, in the interest of research, tested all of the cookies on your plate, and for my money, the chocolate one is the best. But that's just a personal opinion. Thanks, Dino. Dino, actually, we're going to hear from him later on. He's on the panel this afternoon after lunch, so looking forward to that. Now, a couple of things. First of all, who was here yesterday? Quick show of hands. I think most people were. Lots of familiar faces. You may notice that the room has changed. We now have round tables, cabaret-style seating. And that's partly because it's nice and comfy. It's partly so that you can enjoy your lunch. The food was fabulous yesterday, wasn't it, at lunchtime? But a few people said it was a little bit tricky to eat it standing up, so we have tables now. Enjoy your lunch there. One other thing is that right at the back of the room, you may see the gift bags that all of the delegates have got. Please, please, do take one with you today. There's loads of great stuff in there today, including the directory, which is an invaluable resource. Lots more beside that. Just take one. The bags are at the back of the room. Please do. Help yourself. And the final thing is, did you have a look at the book, the 20-year anniversary book? Some of those photos are amazing, aren't they? 19th century suits in Saudi Arabia. Just stunning. How David and the team got their hands on those, I'll never know. But they look superb. Again, if you want a copy, it's yours. That's why they've produced it. So you can ask the guys at the reception just outside the ballroom there, and they'll let you have a copy of that. Oh, and here it is. Just in case you didn't know, from soups to malls, that's the fella. Now, before we move on to Patricia and hear insights on specialty retailing, what I want to do is thank our sponsors once again, because we all go to a number of conferences, and we know that when they're as good and as big as this, a lot of people are involved, aren't they, in making it happen, in bringing us all together. So let's recognize our sponsors. Once again, platinum sponsors, Hamat Property Co., also Arabian Centres. Our annual sponsors, thank you to you, the Pearl Qatar. Also to Kinan, thank you to you, Kinan. Also the Welcome Reception and Delegate Badge sponsor. Gold sponsors as well, here they are. Red Sea Mall, thanks to you. Aswak Management and Services. Intima, of course we have the Olatham Mall, thanks to you, and Shuruk. Bronze, our bronze sponsors, Yardi, Asset and Property Management Software. Muscat Grand Mall, and also Amma Malls. We really do appreciate it. And we move on. Conference breaks and lunch sponsor, Doha, Festival City in Qatar. Lanyard sponsor and Gala gift bag sponsor, the Pearl Qatar. Our delegate bag sponsor, remember, they're at the back, waiting for you. Hamat Property, thanks to you. And the gifts last night. Who won the gifts? Anybody won a gift bag last night? They looked fabulous. Thanks very much indeed to Al-Khazai Premium Tea, Apparel Group, Bath & Body Works, Damani Jewellery, and also Patchy Chocolate. I'm not going to lie, I stole some Patchy chocolates and took them home to my wife last night, and I was very, very popular. Support partners, AZDEF, V Flower Boutique. Strategic partner is the Right Selection Group. Thanks to you guys for your help. Very quickly, media partners, the International New York Times, SCT and RLI, and finally, for help in getting so many people here, safe and sound, our official airline partner is Emirates. Thanks indeed to you. So we move on then to the content of today, and to some of our presentations. As I say, coming up in the not too distant future, we've got a panel discussion on the role of social media, hearing the cash tells ring. Kelly Lundberg, you're going to really enjoy hearing from her. I promise you that. And then a little bit later on, Foodservice and its role in retailing. But we begin with specialty retail trends, the rise of the kiosk. And sharing her thoughts on this is the publisher and vice president of specialty programs at the International Council of Shopping Centers, someone who has 2 decades of experience within the world of retail, an entrepreneur, someone who set up her own business a couple of decades ago and sold it earlier on this year to the ICSC, and that is why we have the privilege of hearing from her today. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Patricia Norins. Hi there, Patricia.
Thank you. Good morning. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. I got my start in retail at 5 because I'm a 4th generation retailer. And when we would go on family vacations, not only would we go to Disney World, but we'd stop and look at all the retail in that city and analyze what was working, what wasn't working. So I've been in the retail industry for a long time, and in the late 80s, my parents in the United States started a specialty leasing business, running third-party management for mall developers all across the United States. At that time, when I helped them as a specialty leasing manager, and I would meet people and they'd ask me what I was doing, I said, I'm working on leasing carts. And they said, you mean shopping carts in grocery stores? And they had no idea what I was talking about. But as the industry's grown, it's really caught on. Consumers now look to kiosks and carts as an amazing opportunity to find new products. And it's really evolved. So let's take a look at what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to just give you a couple bullet points on the growth of the industry in the United States over the last 38 years. We're going to take a 30,000-foot view at some of the retail trends that I think are impacting the specialty retail industry. And then we're going to dive into the main meat and bones of today's presentation and talk about some trends in the specialty retail industry. And then we're going to wrap up with looking at some really innovative and new specialty retail concepts that are not necessarily temporary tenants, but I think could easily transfer over. So where did the industry begin in the United States? In 1972, we saw the very first temporary retail location open up in Roosevelt Field. Then in 1975, we saw our first national retailer open up carts across the country. In 1976 in Boston, at Faneuil Hall Marketplace, now the #1 tourist destination in that city, a cart program was opened up on a very large scale, and it actually became the model for specialty retail in the US. In 1978, we saw a real emergence of specialty retailers populating in shopping centers all across the country. And then in the late 80s, mall developers said, hey, there's really something to this. Let's try and roll this out on a much larger scale. In 1987, ICSC held its first temporary tenant conference in the United States. And then in the 1990s, carts and kiosks caught on as an important way to drive important revenue, not only top-line revenue, but bottom-line revenue for their program. And then in the year 2000, we really shift focus from revenue and put a focus on visual merchandising and said, hey, let's clean some of these programs up. Let's make them look amazing. Let's shift gears from creating more of a marketplace feel in the middle of the shopping center to have these units looking a little bit more sophisticated. In 2010, we saw an all-time high of locations and retailers operating across the country, from RMUs, kiosks, pop-up stores, and temporary retail locations during the holiday season. And then last year, we saw real integration of sponsorship and advertising converging with specialty leasing, so that brands coming into the marketplace would not only take a kiosk location, but also activate on advertising and really run really fun experiential events in the shopping center as well. Where are we today? The industry is 38 years old, and it's come a long way. So back then, when we got started, we saw carts that had big wagon wheels. It was kind of a free-for-all in terms of products being displayed. And actually, the right-hand image is my mom operating one of our jewelry carts back in the 80s. Where are we today? The units have really become more sophisticated. from a nail polish kiosk to a Mac kiosk that actually looks like a store in the middle of the mall, to Illy, a major brand in the common area. Rewinding a few moments, when we first got started in the US, the industry was made up of entrepreneurs. What's been exciting for me to see is now that it's become an opportunity for brands as well. So let's take a 30,000 view at some of the larger consumer trends that are impacting the industry. The first thing I wanted to point out is that in the US market, we're seeing a lot of retail expansion. In fact, 42,000 stores are slated to open in 2014. And these are some of the top categories that they're activating in. The second trend is that consumers prefer to shop in-store versus online. It was part of a market research study that Mike Kershable mentioned, and we found that 48% of consumers prefer to shop in-store versus online. Why? The main reason is that customers want to try on clothing. They want to touch it. They want to feel it. Retail's interactive. And I think that's amazing news for the longevity of the industry. Consumers are also spending more time in-store versus online, and that reflects in the amount that they're spending per month. In fact, in-store, they're spending on average $1,710 versus online at $247 per month. Retailers are also embracing technology to send personalized messages. So at first, as technology was advancing, just like when the web was gaining in momentum, I started to hear a lot of fear back in 2013. What does this mean for the industry? Where are we going? But honestly, I believe there's never been a more exciting time for retailers. And while it may be a challenge to figure out what all of these new technologies mean, at the end of the day, we're going to create a better environment, an environment that's more engaging and more interactive than ever before. The fifth trend is that social media is influencing consumer buying behavior. In fact, 71% of consumers are more likely to make a purchase because of social media referrals. So we're connecting with one another like we've never connected before. We're telling each other what to go buy, what to go do, and customers are taking action. As we've heard over the last couple days, Doug in particular was talking a lot about omni-channel retailing yesterday, and retailers are starting to recognize the importance of integrating this technology into the in-store experience. I was in Restoration Hardware over the holiday season. I was shopping. They were out of an item that I really wanted. Salesperson came up to me with an iPad in hand and said, "Gee, it looks like you're not finding what you're looking for." I said, "Right, I'm looking for this particular item." They said, "Let me take a look at our inventory behind in the stock." They didn't have it. She said, "Would you like me to order it for you? I can have it delivered to the store, or I can have it sent to your home. What would you like to do?" She took the credit card right there at that transaction. That's amazing retailing. Retailers are also offering more customizable products, and this is really spanning the gamut on how we can offer more personalized products and services to our customers. This was a concept that started out very early in the specialty retail industry. It was actually the foundation of successful products when they offered some sort of customizable or personalized element to them. But now we're seeing this crossing over, and major retailers are recognizing the importance of providing some kind of unique product so that it really stands out. The eighth trend is that retailers are offering more personalized services, as I was just saying, and some of this transfers over into how we deal with customers when they come into the store and the type of customer service that we can offer them so that their experience is above and beyond. So we're seeing personalized shopper services popping up all over. I was just talking to a developer in Canada who told me that they worked with H&M to create a shopping lounge over the holiday season where they brought personalized shoppers in and stylists to work with consumers to increase buying. The ninth trend is delivery options are increasing. Doug was talking a lot about this yesterday if you were in that presentation. Customers want to buy online and pick up in the store. And it's really changing the way we are getting merchandise. We're getting it now sometimes within an hour or two, or like with Amazon within 24 hours. The 10th trend is called upgradia trend. It's this trend that we constantly want to upgrade our technology, right? So the new iPhone comes out and we all run out to buy it because it's a little larger, and that's definitely impacting retail. The 11th trend for you is that outlet stores are on the rise. So today's consumer is looking for value-oriented opportunities, and outlet stores are definitely increasing, specifically in the United States. In-store experiences are also increasing. This is an image from Williams-Sonoma. They've been offering cooking classes for a long time, and I'm seeing a lot of other retailers following suit. Why offer something like this program? It gives customers a specific reason to go into the store at a specific time, helps to drive traffic, we get engaged, we sample the product, we buy more. It makes sense. The 13th trend that I have for you is that in-store experiences are improving. So it kind of builds on what I was just saying about Williams-Sonoma. More than 80% of consumers said they paid more for a product if they had a great experience with it. So as retailers and as people in the shopping center industry, we need to figure out how to give customers better experiences. The 4th trend is tying into all the others that I've just mentioned, which is that retailers are adding more immersive and experiential opportunities. The Rain Room in the Museum of Modern Art in New York offered an interesting exhibit where you could walk in, it was raining, but anywhere you walked, it didn't rain on you. That's pretty amazing. Imagine a store where you went in and it was like that. That would definitely create a unique opportunity for that retailer to actually drive traffic. So let's shift gears now and talk a little bit about specialty food trends in 2014. There are some really unique things going on in the marketplace, and I just want to point out a couple of highlights. Number one, I'm seeing restaurants and retail stores. Why? It increases dwell time. So we know customers are out, they're shopping, they're hungry. Why not stop, get a bite to eat while you're in the store? Plus, it adds to that in-store experience. The second trend that I've seen is that food courts are being replaced by something called a food hall, where folks can come in and get a better sampling of gourmet foods, locally produced foods, and a new, fresh format that feels a lot more interactive and integrated. The third trend is dessert, centered around dessert, and so we saw a lot of interest in donuts and croissants over the last couple of years, and now there's a new move into ice cream sandwiches and interesting food combinations. Dessert pizza. I was out to eat the other day and I saw a salad pizza, literally with salad piled up on the pizza. Fourth trend is low tea. So this is a 4 o'clock tea service that's really catching on. The next trend that I've seen is farm-to-table restaurants popping up. People want to eat locally sourced foods that are made organically. And the emphasis really on eating healthy. This is actually a farm-to-table restaurant that I found in the Middle East. And this is happening all over the world. The sixth trend that I've seen is non-wheat pasta and gluten-free products. I know in the United States, our supermarkets are being transformed, and we now see entire aisles converted into gluten-free. In fact, in my own grocery store, every single aisle has a space dedicated to gluten-free products. And I was just kind of curious to see, you know, maybe this is only a trend in the US, but actually when I was out in Dubai Mall, I saw a bakery promoting the fact that they had gluten-free products. There are millions of consumers in the US market eating gluten-free, both due to allergies and because of a belief that this may be a little better on the digestive system. So I think we'll see a lot more restaurants incorporating gluten-free products, and I hope to see a lot more products integrated into the specialty retail business as well. In fact, I have a friend who's launching a specialty retail concept around gluten-free products, and they'll be offered through vending. The seventh trend for you is that tea is still trending up. It's been on the rise for the last 5 years, and a new survey in the US market revealed that consumers are more likely to buy food with tea than with coffee. So there's a lot of opportunities around tea. This is a new tea concept I found called bubbleology, and I think we'll continue to see a rise in this category for a while. We talked a little bit about the gourmet pizza, pizza with lettuce on it, all kinds of different varieties, some restaurants offering as many as 50 different options for pizza. And then this has been a really interesting trend that I've noticed all around the world in my travels over the last year, are single item restaurants. Went to London and saw a potato kiosk, cupcakes, churros, Greek yogurt, only selling one food item. I would have never thought, prior to seeing this, that a business could be supported with one single food item. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. Have you seen a unit with one item? I think this is going to grow. The 10th item that I have for you in the food category are grilled cheese restaurants. Restaurants popping up across the world, around the world, selling only grilled cheese. Another example of that single item food. So let's pop in and now look at some of the specialty retail trends that I've seen in the industry. The first one is an increase in the number of brands activating in the common area. So as I mentioned, when the industry got its start, we saw primarily entrepreneurs, and now we're seeing huge brands who are recognizing the importance of the visibility that the shopping mall offers. They're recognizing the importance of connecting with consumers in a new way. They're recognizing the importance of building their email marketing lists and sometimes doing sampling. The second trend that I have for you is that we are seeing so many more sophisticated designs when it comes to kiosks and RMUs. I encourage you to think creatively about the units that you've got in your program and really use it as an opportunity to create diversity from retailer to retailer by making sure they have very customized and unique designs. The third trend that I'm seeing is that pop-up stores are popping up with no merchandise at all. Simply images of products with QR codes that can be scanned, and this is changing the way business is being done. The fourth trend is the emergence and development of sponsorship and advertising experiential events, increasing ancillary revenue. So we hold an annual conference for this in New York, and we spent 2 days in August talking about the role of sponsorship and advertising in the United States market, and it's amazing to see the growth of that particular category. We went from static signs in shopping centers where there was a single ad on a mall directory to interactive digital signage and amazing things. Experiential events like this one at Westfield, London, with a basketball event and sampling and great things. The fifth trend that I have for you is that more sophisticated signage is being built into the RMU and kiosk design so that these retailers look more sophisticated and can communicate their brand message and instantly attract customers by explaining what they're selling. The sixth trend that we've seen is that franchises are really growing in popularity in the United States market in the specialty leasing category. So again, rewinding, 20 years ago, we never saw a franchise in the specialty retail industry. Why? It was expensive to create the franchise for the franchisor. Franchisees were a little nervous about paying that franchise fee and locking in. But now, because leases are on a longer-term basis, and some products are really proven, and it's more challenging to get certain locations now because the market is more mature, franchises make sense. The seventh trend is that shopping centers are now, specifically in the US market, really beginning to edit the number of units they have. So as I mentioned a couple years ago, we saw an all-time high. Let's pack in as many retailers as we can, giving them the opportunity and us the ancillary revenue. Developers started pulling back on that a little bit and saying, you know what, maybe the retailers aren't doing as well when we have 5 sunglass units, 5 Dead Sea, 5 Flatirons. Let's cut that back to 1. Let's place them more strategically. Maybe they're going to sell more, and we're going to earn more percentage rent as a result. So we're seeing a lot of editing so that the retailers have a maximum opportunity and so that the programs are looking a little more clean. The eighth trend, and this is really, really impacting the specialty retail industry, and I'm particularly excited about this one, is online retailers who are going into brick and mortar. And this is particularly happening through pop-up stores. This is an example of a gentleman who had an online store called Store Envy, where he was working with all different artists around the country, and he was selling exclusively online. And then he recognized the value of going into a store, didn't want to sign a long-term lease, and decided to activate a pop-up store. Why I'm particularly excited about the trend is because I feel like this opens up a whole new world to us in terms of opportunities of who we can bring into our shopping centers. Now there's thousands of online companies that make sense to come into the center. and ensure that our shopping centers remain a place of discovery and exciting new things. The 9th trend is that food trucks are crossing over into shopping centers. So about 5 years ago, we started to see the emergence of food trucks in cities like New York. Then we saw evolution of food truck events where hundreds of food trucks would come out and thousands of people would come out for that to sample the different food. And now in talking to mall developers, I see that they're bringing food trucks into their shopping center parking lots to create fun, experiential opportunities. The 10th trend that I have for you is that pop-up stores are looking and feeling more sophisticated than ever before. So this is an example of an online retailer called Bobble Bar who has a very interesting concept. They're not open all mall hours or all store hours. They are by appointment only. The consumer brings their clothing into the store, and the stylist helps that person to pick out jewelry based on their outfits. The 11th trend that I had for you is that pop-up stores, sometimes as sophisticated as they are on the one hand, are sometimes feeling very temporary and very edgy. And the construction materials that are being used for fixtures or to create the unit itself are also very temporary in nature. So these are two examples of completely cardboard-created fixtures in the store, and the kiosk was built from 900 paper tubes. The 12th trend that I have for you is that specialty retail is now being used as an opportunity to help launch fashion designers. This is a gentleman who is in Westfield, Sydney. He opened up for 2 weeks in a very interestingly constructed kiosk that Westfield saves for new emerging designers to rotate out every couple of weeks. He did so well that he ended up signing a permanent deal. But again, through programs like this, it helps us create diversity in our shopping centers and give consumers that sense of discovery when they come to the mall, that every time they go there, there's going to be something new for them to check out. This is another company in London called Kiosk, and they're a nonprofit helping retailers to launch. They set up a very temporary unit that can be moved, oftentimes outside of the mall, and emerging designers have the opportunity to sell their products and gauge the reaction of the consumer. The 13th trend that I'm seeing is that there's shorter license agreements being signed. So like I was saying, that emergent fashion designer is only coming in for a 2-week span. This was a bicycle shop that came in for 1 week with an incredible amount of merchandise. But counter to that, I'm also seeing mall developers who are pushing towards longer license agreements. I've had retailers call me who are saying that a mall developer says, listen, unless you do a 6-month deal, it doesn't make sense for you to come into my program. Or unless you sign a 1-year contract, it doesn't make sense for you to come into my program. So it's interesting to see the divergence of these two trends. The next trend is that kiosks are being now used to increase dwell time in shopping centers, and this is a goal of Westfield through their Westfield Labs program. They're introducing a certain number of food concepts with seating areas so that customers will come, have a coffee, sit down, rest up, and then go back out and do some shopping. The next trend is that there's an increase in vending in shopping centers that's very unique and very upscale. So about 5 years ago, mall developers started pulling away from vending because it didn't look good, and as I mentioned to you, visual merchandising and how the program appeared became really important. And now, through the evolution of vending, we're seeing amazing products with amazing designs being introduced in this way. This is a burrito kiosk. Who would have ever thought you could buy a fresh burrito from a kiosk, but it's being done. A caviar kiosk, and a salad kiosk. The salad is replenished every day, and it's sourced locally. This is a major brand at an airport in Las Vegas, and people were stopping and taking pictures because it's so cute and so fashionably designed, and they're getting additional social media coverage through that. This is a company who decided to host a contest and see if books could work through vending machines. They chose the best stories and they put together a vending machine around it. As I was talking about the food trends, we're seeing a lot of different types of restaurants deploying, but we're also seeing this translate into the specialty retail industry through a substantial increase in the number of food kiosks in shopping centers. There's a retailer called French Fry Heaven in the United States selling 50 different types of French fries. I touched on sponsorship and advertising a little bit, but we're really seeing a growth of this in mall parking lots. This is a very creative activation that they did. So not only basic advertising, but more sophisticated advertising that looks really visual, it really pops. JetBlue Airlines did a creative activation in the mall parking lot where not only did they have static advertising, but also monitors built in, so it looked like the back of the seat with their little TV screen. And then the 20th trend that I have for you is that the kiosk footprint has become much larger with units that are really resembling stores. So while we're seeing some units get smaller with vending, and the other benefit of vending is that you don't have to provide staff, we're seeing also a growth in the footprint. So let's talk about some fun new fresh retail concepts that I've also seen around the world that could easily translate into specialty leasing concepts as well. The first one is called Birchbox Pop-Up Store. And this is a really great concept. It's a cosmetics online retailer who sells subscriptions to women for $10 a month. They get 5 trial products by mail. And they were online only and said, you know what, I think it would make sense for us to go into a pop-up location. They took 5 locations to grow their email list and to connect with customers. But what a great concept. I'm also seeing the growth of high-end pet stores across the country selling very expensive pet food and pet products, and all kinds of pet services. In fact, I just read that in Dubai, a very high-end pet hotel opened up that has a bed and a TV for your pet while you're on the road. Pop bars are opening up as well with gelato on a stick. Fun new way to serve ice cream. 3D printing, we're seeing starting to come into the retail marketplace. I've seen a lot of pop-up stores with this concept where you can go in, bring a design, and have something made right in the store that you've envisioned in your mind. Or the store is also creating some products through the 3D printing machine. This is another example of the 3D pop-up store that I saw. Daily Table is a really interesting grocery concept. The former president of Trader Joe's said, hey, we've got a lot of food that's going to waste. And it's not yet bad, but because of the expiration date, we need to pull it off the shelf and throw it away. Why not start a supermarket around the concept of expiration dates? And maybe it's okay to sell food in a certain time frame. It's not going to be as fresh as it might be in the beginning, but it's still safe. So he launched a store in Q1 in the Massachusetts area called Daily Table, testing this concept, and so far the reviews are that it's doing very well. I wanted to share an example of a gift retailer, a very small gift retailer in New York, who I think is doing something very innovative. Their store name is called Story, and what makes them so unique is that every 6 weeks, they have entirely new products that come into the store. She changes the theme of the store every 6 weeks, and re-merchandises the store every 6 weeks. Now that's a real place of discovery, right? You know you're going to go into that store in a 6-week time frame, and it's going to be completely different than the last time you saw it. Unpackaged is selling foods that don't have packaging so we can be eco-friendly. And I think that's a great concept with the rise of consumers really wanting to be kind to the environment. Another store called Ingredients, a zero waste grocer, also helping to contribute and be socially responsible. Also seeing a lot of focus on nails As a global trend, women are really getting involved in nail art, so we're seeing this translate into the specialty retail industry through nail bars and nail kiosks that are opening. I showed you a photo of that nail polish kiosk when I first started the presentation, and so I think we'll see some continued growth in this area as well. We have a new concept in the US called group painting stores, where you rally some friends together, you come in and an artist has pre-painted a photo and they show you step by step how to recreate that photo. It's a really social event, it's a girls' night out, and actually not only for women, but it's being kind of known as like a girls' night out. And I'm seeing this starting in strip centers and in shopping malls as a great way to help that shopping center drive traffic. Very interactive. Who would have thought food could be sold from an ATM, but sure enough, it's being done, and we're seeing a company called Sprinkles Cupcakes testing that concept. And just when you thought the cupcakes being sold from an ATM was a stretch, there's now a kiosk that's opening up a location to market funeral plots, and they're doing quite well. It takes people out of that environment that might be kind of scary to go in and make an appointment. It makes it top of mind for them, and it's giving them a whole new marketing opportunity. Blow-dry salons are popping up across the United States so that women can get their hair blown dry, and I think we'll continue to see this grow as a major category around the world. Raise your hand if you have a blow-dry bar in your center. Designer leggings are also really popular in the United States, a way for women to express themselves through leg wear, and we literally will have hundreds of kiosks and carts selling this product during the holiday season. Bee Duck is a really fun, whimsical example of kind of where the industry had started, but with a creative kiosk design, it takes it to the next level. It makes it really fun and very visual. Just when I thought I had seen every possible t-shirt there could be, because for the last 20 years, t-shirts are a popular product that are sold from carts, here comes the chalkboard tee with a creative little chalkboard so you can change your message on a daily basis. And then there's a whole trend going on around washi tape or decorative tape, where kids in the United States are making art out of the tape, making wallets, making handbags, and so we're seeing carts and kiosks popping up with this fun tape that kids can use to turn into an art project. Talking about our single food items, I wanted to share this meatball obsession kiosk because it helped to demonstrate that single food trend. This is an example of a pop-up store that also teaches classes. As I was mentioning with Williams-Sonoma, I think classes are a great way to get customers to engage with the products that are being sold. They create a reason for people to go in. So the more retailers you can have in your center who are teaching classes, the better off I think you are. This is an example of a retailer who believes in changing things out on a regular basis. They change their store space 3 times a day. All of their fixtures were on wheels, and their staff reconfigured the store to make it look totally different every few hours. Google decided to open up some pop-up stores in the US, creating a really fun experience. They built a dome, it would snow inside, people would go in, take photos, they were shared through social media. Google had a chance to interact with customers, and it was a really fun experience. This is a fun example of an RMU that used creative materials to build its display. In fact, it's made out of 1,000 copies of the New York Times. We're seeing a huge movement in the United States with people making their own smoothies or wanting smoothies. So this is an example of a company who came in to promote their natural drink line, drinks made out of raw and organic vegetables and fruits. There's also this interesting development of container pop-up stores. Stores that are built out of containers. They're usually strategically placed in mall parking lots versus inside the shopping center, What's great about the concept is that the unit itself is very inexpensive, and it creates this interesting sort of artistic look that's very basic, and it allows for the retailer to come in for a very short-term basis. So in conclusion, the specialty retail industry has come a long way over the last 38 years. In fact, as I remember about 10 years ago, the world was starting to talk about globalization, and I said to myself at that time, you know, I don't really see that happening in the specialty retail industry. I mean, it's made up of entrepreneurs, it's really focused in the US. Anytime I traveled, I really didn't see specialty retail. Little did I know, only a decade later, specialty leasing would grow around the world. Retailers would be operating in 5 different countries at any given time. Products would be imported and exported from around the world, and it's been really amazing to see this growth in the industry. So we talked today about some high-end vending. That includes foods, books, cosmetics. We're seeing more brands in the common area, so there's a huge opportunity for you to reach out to brands and market the opportunity that there's prime space for them in the middle of the mall. Sponsorship programs and advertising programs are being integrated into the common area, so the more you can talk to retailers about this opportunity, then the more you'll be able to increase ancillary revenue. There's an introduction of designers and artists in the common area. I encourage you to work with as many of them as possible, even if you have to use an intermediary so that they can get into your center. There's an emphasis on the quality of tenants and on the number of tenants and finding that right balance of what makes sense, that looks good visually, but still makes sense for the retailer and for you. There's this 2 opposite ends of short-term leases, very, very short-term leases, and then a push towards longer-term leases. Pop-up retail that's made to look more permanent, or pop-up retail that looks really temporary, and that's great. Hope that you'll walk away with the image of food playing an important role in specialty leasing, and you thinking creatively about how you can introduce more food concepts into your center through specialty leasing. So I'd like to leave you with a few questions today. What are your center's specialty retail goals for 2015? Where's your program headed in the next 2 to 3 years? Can you plan strategically around it? And what are your next steps to incorporate some of today's trends into your specialty leasing program so that we can ensure that specialty leasing programs around the world have that place of discovery, so that when consumers are coming into your center, they're seeing new things they've never seen before through that program. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where the specialty leasing industry goes next. It's been an amazing 38-year journey, and I hope that you'll join me in helping to bring the industry forward. Thank you.
Patricia, thank you so much indeed. Don't go away, because I've got a couple of questions, and I think other people have as well. I think we have got some microphones that are going to be circulating around the room. I already see the first question. Thank you very much indeed, sir. Can we just raise the house lights a little bit so I can see people? Here we go.
Yes, from your experience in terms of specialty leasing and regular stores, how do you compare the rentals, or can you share some insights in this?
In terms of how pricing is structured?
Yes, the rents, the mall rents.
So in the majority of markets, I'm seeing a base rent plus a percentage of sales. Most markets are setting up rents on a month-to-month basis, and then the holiday season being November 1st through December the 31st. And it's a requirement to take those 8 weeks during the holiday season.
Is it similar or higher or lower than the normal store?
The premise behind it is to make it shorter than a normal permanent store, so that there's an opportunity for retailers to come and go. That's what the industry's been built on, is this premise that retailers can come in during their busy season. So if you're selling sunglasses, you might only want to come in for the summer season. If you're selling a holiday-based product, you might only go in for November and December. However, one of the trends that I talked about is more and more mall developers are saying, if you'd like to keep your location in my center, you need to stay for a 6-month period or a 1-year period. There are some benefits of that, in that that retailer maintains their location, establishes a presence in the center, builds consumer confidence. But the disadvantage of that is that we don't have a program that's changing over. So if that's the approach that your center wants to take, where maybe the majority of your tenants are 6 months to a year in the specialty leasing program, I would love to see you reserving a certain number of locations for temporary retailers. And by that I mean as short of a deal as you can make, that it still makes sense for your center.
One more question.
So one second,
yes.
sir. I'm going to see if there are any other questions, because we have to be rapid fire when it comes to these questions. I'm not saying you can't have another question, but I'm keen to offer other people the opportunity to ask Patricia a question. Yes, please, sir. Gentleman at the front here. Thank you. The microphone is on its way.
If we were to look at those rentals on a per square foot basis, or per square meter basis, how would the rentals that you would get out of a freestanding kiosk compare to what you might get out of an inline store?
Fantastic. Because it's such a small amount of space, if we calculate it on a per square foot basis, it would actually be substantially higher than what a retailer would be paying for a permanent location. What they are getting in return for that is the flexibility that they didn't have to commit to a 3-year, 5-year, 10 or 20-year deal. So they're willing to pay a premium so that they have the flexibility to come in at a lower entry point and to leave if necessary. Great question.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Quick question for you, please, Patricia. I know so many of us in the region are interested in about your knowledge and your experience. How can we keep connected to find out if we have more questions for you in the future?
I have business cards available for anyone who's interested. I'll be in the back of that will be in the back of the room. So if you want to pick that on your way out, to lunch, please feel free to send me an email. I'd love to hear about some of your challenges. I'd love to see some pictures. We do an annual visual merchandising award program called Visual Victories, where we recognize visual merchandising excellence in specialty leasing from around the world. So if you have some really innovative retailing taking place, which I know you do, because this is innovation. This is the retail mecca of the world. Please send those images, and if you leave me your card, I'll make sure you get a digital subscription to our magazine so you can stay on top of what's going on with the world of specialty retail.
Thank you very much indeed. Who's got the final question? Yes, please.
Hi, hello, hi, you can hear me. My question to you is, I actually work with a lot of emerging designers and entrepreneurs, and the spaces that we're kind of stuck with or left with are art spaces, or we have to lease out spaces in hotels. What advice do you have for me to convince the big mall retailers to give us some space within their mall for these emerging artists, designers, entrepreneurs?
Well, I think that it's definitely a dialogue that needs to take place with shopping center developers to discuss the importance of really introducing those new product lines into the center. So sitting down and saying, look, when we bring in emerging fashion designers, we're bringing in something that's fresh, something that's new, something that enables the locals to see something different every time they come into the shopping center. So there's really important reasons on why it works from a retail perspective. So I think it's about starting the dialogue and then maybe even showing what those designers are doing from a sales perspective and also what you can offer them in terms of rent.
Great, thank you.
So good luck on that.
Thanks.
Thank you very much indeed. Back to you, sir, for the final question.
What advice do you have for greedy mall developers who fill up?
Wait, we don't have any of that.
No, wait. We are a traditional retailer, and you have a pop-up store in front of your store, and it blocks your signage, and it's like almost every few feet. So how do you advise the malls to run a professional kiosk operation, and it's not just filling up every inch of space and covering most of the mall?
Right. So again, I think that a lot of the challenges we have in the industry can be solved through sitting together and having a conversation. Pop-up retail does bring a lot to the shopping center because it's creating the diversity that we need in a shopping center environment. The challenge that you're mentioning is that sometimes storefronts can be blocked. Some of the solution that I'm seeing to this is the strategic placement of kiosks in between stores so that sight lines aren't blocked. Design of RMUs and kiosks that takes signage into consideration so they're not built quite as high as they used to be in the past. And then again, really boiling it down to strategic location so that permanent retailers feel like it's a win-win situation.
Patricia, fascinating insights. Thank you very much indeed.
So
it's been a real pleasure. Thank you for your time today. Now we move on. Who here does not want to hear the cash tills ring? Nobody. Everybody wants to hear the cash tills ring. That's good because our next panel discussion is on that very subject. Specifically, converting social media interactions into retail sales, into dollars and cents, or dirhams and fields or reals, call them what you will. We're going to hear from Kelly Lundberg, who's the founder of the styling agency StyleMeDivine.com here in Dubai, author of How to Be a Personal Stylist, someone who claims to have spent 10,000 shopping hours with clients and bought 5,000 pairs of shoes, not for her own collection. She's a brand ambassador for a number of fashion brands, including Reiss. She collaborates frequently with retailers such as Harvey Nichols and Saks Fifth Avenue, and she's extremely active on social media. I was checking just this morning. Kelly has 15,700 followers on Twitter, and I'm proud to say I have been one of them for at least a year or so. She's going to be moderating a panel discussion. I'll leave her to welcome the other members of the panel, but will you begin by joining me in giving a very, very warm welcome to Kelly Lundberg. Kelly, come and join us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, how are you?
I have my phone here because we're talking about social media, so it's not I'm being rude, everyone. Please feel free if you have yours out, because I'm going to be using that in a little while as well. So it gives me great pleasure to be here this morning. Thank you for that introduction. Fantastic. As the founder of StyleMeDivine.com, I do spend a huge amount of time shopping in the malls. And I have to say, Patricia's presentation about the trends that were coming up, I found hugely inspiring and motivating to see that personal shopping and personal stylists coming into retailers is a huge trend that's coming. Well, we've been here for the past 9 years, so I'd like to say we've broken into the market first, but it's something that gives me great comfort and to know. Now, as host and moderator of this morning's panel, here the Cash Tools ring, converting social media interactions into retail sales. Our experts are going to be leaving you with inspiration. I'd like to leave you with some tools, some ideas that you can be implementing on behalf of your brands here. I'd like to see a show of hands of everyone here who actually is on social media in some shape or form. Okay, so I'd probably say about 98% of people, whether it's Facebook, social media, whether it's Instagram, Pinterest, or YouTube. We're going to be covering all those aspects today. I'd like to welcome on all our panel today. If I could start with Dr. Ahmed Mourady, Head of Marketing for the Arabian Centers. Would you like to come and join me on the stage, please? Are you okay? Do you want to take a seat over there? Now, Dr. Ahmed Mourady, Head of Marketing for Arabian Centers in Saudi Arabia, has led his team to create a unified online platform, creating and managing 13 new websites and increasing the social media fans and followers from 40,000 to over 1.4 million effective followers. And when we had a little bit chat about that, found it hugely inspiring to see the amount of the team members that actually got you to that point. So we're going to discuss that in just a moment. And under your leadership, Arabian Centers have also won 2 awards, Best in Technology as well. So congratulations.
Third one yesterday.
A third one yesterday. Congratulations. Fantastic. I'll also at this point like to welcome on Shikka Gupta, if you'd like to join us, please. Now, Shikka is the founder of TheFashSet, an on and offline platform that supports fashion startups here in the UAE. Thank you for joining us. And I would like to also welcome Mr. Baiju Kurieash, Managing Director and Chief Executive for Buzz MMC. Baiju is a social media evangelist and directly involved with his team handling their clients and media, social medias. Thank you so much. So I was just going to mention there, I had my phone, I popped it down. The hashtag, does everyone know what the hashtag here is for this conference? Does anyone want to share with me what it is? Okay, that's why when I had a little look, there wasn't lots. Recon Mena. Okay, Recon Mena. So what I would like over the next sort of 20, 25 minutes, if there's any quotes that you found inspiring, if there's any tips that you found really useful, please share them through your social media, through your Twitter, and use the hashtag Recon Mena. What I would like to see at the end of this is who is interactive. I would like to answer a couple of questions via our social media. So it's okay, get your phones out and we'll get started. So I wanted to get the ball rolling with a quote that I read recently, which I thought was quite apt for what we're doing here. And it basically said, "Content is king, but distribution is the queen and she wears the pants. It's not nearly enough to create a good piece of content. You have to understand how content spreads across the web. So I thought we would start with that, and that was the theme that I wanted to take. That it is all about creating content, but more than that is how do you spread the word. So I wanted to start with welcoming you again, but I would like to find out, you've got a huge social media following, and you know, you've had a number of successful initiatives. Can you share with us maybe one of your most successful initiatives, why it was, and then I want to go on about the centralization system, which I think is crucial.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We started our project like 2 years ago, early 2012. And at Arabian centers, we were running 12 malls at that time. Now it's 16. So our main challenge was how to manage the contents and the distribution and monitoring the quality of the contents and the distribution among all the 12 malls. And this was a huge challenge for us. So we made a lot of research and study, and we looked all over the studies all over the world on what is the best methodology to use in order to, as you said, to make sure that the contents are distributed equally and correctly in all the channels. So we came up with, first, we came up that we need 2 streams of content creation. One stream which is in malls, which is happening every day, like the events, the promotion, the opening of new stores. So this source of contents needed people living in the mall. And the other stream was the professional or like specialist stream, where people, our users, nowadays they have a couple of smartphones in their hands, and if they benefit of each silent minute, and they grab their phone and they look what's new in the media. And not only in Facebook or Twitter, they continue on like looking Facebook and then Twitter, and then after they finish, they come again. So being on their streamline, that was a challenge. So what we decided to do is that we trained all our customer service as part of their new role of like new area role, is to know about social media, know how to use it, and know how to report news from inside the mall into the social media channels.
This is all your customer service staff.
Exactly.
Okay.
All our customer service went into intensive training on how to use that. We brought them digital gadgets, phones, and we had internet in the malls in order for them to grab all the news and then put them online. And also, we had hired a specialist, an expert in social media. She's a 20-year-old girl with a couple of iPhones, iPad, and all those stuff. And she's passionate about social media. So she just keep on following the trends and knowing what's new in the fashion and everything in the shopping centers. Combining both of them led that nowadays we are available, we are present in all our social channels, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, the 5 major channels and other channels. And we have a very high rate of engagement with our customers. Another thing is very important that following the studies that we made, we found that which is the best time to post a post about something. It's different to post about food and the fashion or for the entertainment.
So what's the best time to post about fashion?
It's different. This is the point. We didn't find any general study, and it differs from mall to mall, from city to city. Even in Jeddah, for example, we have 6 malls in Jeddah. It differs from mall to mall. The engagement is different. Surprisingly, for example, in Jeddah, the best time to post about fashion, it's 3 a.m. in the morning on Thursday.
As one would expect.
Yeah.
Because that's when I always do my shopping.
Yeah, exactly. So it's different. So being there and having all the wealth of information that is generated from the social media, it's a good wealth to know your customers and to understand better, and even to help them and service them in knowing what's happening in their favorite mall. The last challenge that we faced is that it's very time-consuming and resource-consuming to post in all channels, because also it's not only the social media that we were working with, it was also the website, the digital directories inside the malls, and it was very time-consuming to do it manually. So we invented a system, a unified system, that the customer service agent were able to post one post and then choose which channel he wants this post to be there. At that time, it was totally new, and even nowadays, there is a lot of other software that does that, but it doesn't help us in the mobile app and the website and even digital signage inside our malls. Final thing, at that time, even Facebook, they didn't have pages. They just have individual accounts. So we faced that our customers, we had 40,000 something customers on Facebook, for example, and not in our official pages. They are on different unofficial pages created by other fans. So we had launched this in-mall launching campaign to make awareness about our new channels, and we succeeded to raise our customers from 40,000 to 1.4 in a very short window of time.
Which social media channel do you find the best for converting the interaction into sales? Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter? Is it Instagram?
From our experience, it's Facebook followed by Instagram nowadays. Yeah, and then Twitter and YouTube, it's a little bit lagging behind.
Which is interesting, because from my perspective, YouTube has been one of the places that I've successfully managed to convert social media interaction into sales. And when it comes to sales, we're talking about online products that I've created and been able to convert directly online into sales. So
the most amazing thing that following the last session, 6% of our specialty leasing came from Facebook last year. So we have clients, we have entrepreneurs that they are fans, and then they want to do some work, and then they started their request through Facebook. So it's now paying off. Like, it's not only for fans, it's also for entrepreneurs that want to be engaged in our shopping centers. They started requests through Facebook, and now we have 6% of the leasing came from Facebook.
And that's a nice link into yourself, Shikka, about talking about entrepreneurs and startups and utilizing now, I guess, what people would describe as celebrities or social media bloggers who've got an even bigger following than malls or particular brands, and they've got a huge amount of trust. How do retailers or how do malls utilize their social media following?
Thanks, Kelly. That's a great question. This is a question that so many people ask me. They're like, can you tell us the secret? How do these bloggers actually make money? You know, can they live off free clothes for the rest of their life? And I tell them, no, you can't live off that. But
make a good start at it.
It is, yeah, definitely a good start. But it all comes down to, what do people actually want to see on social media? Why did we join Facebook to begin with? You know, some of the reasons that we joined is we wanted to be part of a community. We wanted to express our voice. We wanted to listen to other people's views and opinions, and that's why you have the comment section on Facebook. You wanted to make friends. You wanted to know what's going on, and bloggers have really been able to kind of achieve those goals. People see them as someone they can trust. They trust their opinion, they trust their pictures, they trust their writing. They trust them in terms of kind of seeing what the trends are and letting people know, okay, these are the trends, this is what you should go by. People, the average consumer now is much more savvy in terms of they're not going to be impulsive shoppers as much as we thought before. They want to really have someone else vet products for them before they actually go out and make this purchase. So it's more that people are selling an experience and a lifestyle versus just, okay, I take a picture of this water and I say you should drink it. It's, you know, why? What is so great about the experience? I'm a normal person just like you. You know, I'm someone you should be friends with. And I'm recommending this because this made my life better in so many different ways. So this selling an experience of friendship. Another thing that I want to mention is that people want response on social media in real time. Now, as a brand, and this is something that you can probably answer to as well, it takes time to get back to so many requests and so many messages. I mean, it may take a week of lead time. But bloggers, as someone that they can, or influencers, as someone that people can interact with in real time, immediately. These guys are always on their mobile, you know, always talking, always chatting, hashtagging, you know, sending a tag back. And I want to also mention one more thing. a blogger or an influencer is not the only thing that brands and retailers are chasing after. It's just anyone who can kind of spread the message word of mouth. Anyone here heard about Marc Jacobs' tweet shop that he had in London? Did you hear about it? So this was a really interesting concept because Marc Jacobs opened a tweet shop. Yeah, you heard me correct. So tweet is not a new handbag or a perfume that he came up with. Tweet is in Twitter. So the shop was just to kind of build more engagement on social media by making everyday people influencers and bloggers, by empowering their followers, really. So what he did was, for every hashtag that you put in, or every video that you take, or every picture that you post, you get tiny rewards within that tweet shop for doing that. So they're giving out keychains, they're giving out mini perfumes, and it was literally a social media frenzy. So they gave opportunities to everyday people to feel really special and engaged and, you know, make them influencers per se. Another company that does that is Gap. They do a really good job of it. So what they do is they reward customers who engage with them. I'm sure most of you probably know, for example, on Instagram, you have the ability to tag brands per their name, and you have the ability to hashtag them. So they monitor the hashtags that come out of, you know, the really strong influencers or people who are doing it really often. And you could have 200 followers, but you've hashtag Gap, you know, 5 times every week for the last 6 months. They will come back to you and find a way to reward you, which is so great.
I think there was kind of 2 things I wanted to pick up. That was the immediate interaction. And I've certainly found when I've been dealing with brands, for example, I was in shopping on behalf of a client in London, and a very large retailer left a security tag on my client's trousers, which I then brought back to Dubai, which I then organized for her to wear, only to find there was a security tag. I was a little bit annoyed, to say the least, and went onto Twitter. And I did comment that I had traveled all the way back to Dubai, and I thought it was unprofessional that it was left. I would say that within 3 minutes, the department store were back on me saying, what can we do for you? How can we find a solution to this problem? Please contact us directly. And I think that's a huge thing about social media is the interaction immediately.
Exactly.
Yeah. But talking of tweets there about Kim Kardashian, that's taking it to a whole nother level. And when you're talking about big celebrities who are actually paid huge amounts of sums, you know, $25,000, $30,000 in the region to put a tweet on Facebook, on Twitter or on Facebook as well. But it's all good and well spending the money. What about the return on investment? And I'm going to pass that down to Baiju at the end there. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with your brands and how you can track that return on investment?
Well, now that we have Shikka and Dr. Ahmed explained quite a lot as to how they have engaging and how they're utilizing the social media platform, one of the fundamental questions that most of our clients ask, how do we, once we get into the social media platform, how do we make sense out of it? And how do we know that the money is well spent? Let me try and explain this today. I will take few steps to sort of give you the formula to understand if your social media is giving you return on investment and what are the metrics that you can use to calculate. So let me take a step back. First of all, let's figure out as to how do we take that decision to set up your social media channel itself. You setting the social media tactics first is not the way that you should approach. First of all, what you need to do is you need to set your business mission. So once you have your business mission, you need to set your business goal around your social media channels. And then you need to set your social media goals, social media objectives, and set social media tactics. So that's how you pan it out. So once you have your social media mission, goals, and the tactics are in place, place a couple of KPIs against each of the social media goals, and also build some tactics for each of the goals, and then set the metric. So we are now set your business goals, your social media goals, social media objectives, tactics, KPIs. So once you have done this, let's look at the two areas. One is metric and return on investment. Now, metric and return on investment are two different things. Let me try to explain this. 10,000 hits on your website is a metric. I will give you a very simple formula to calculate return on investment on social media or any social channels. This is not something that we created. It's like the sum of all your benefits minus the cost that you incurred, multiply that with 10, and divide it by cost. So let me give you an example. Say the sum of all your benefits, which are qualitative and quantitative, and I will come to how to analyze this. So you take the sum of all the benefits. Let's assume that it is 1,000. Say your cost is 10. So you multiply the result with 100. So when your benefits are 1,000, your cost is 10. So that brings you 990 into 100, which is 99,000 in terms of your sum total there, and divide that by 10, so 9,900. Is that clear?
Yeah, I'm with it.
So
everyone else still with us on the math
ROI.
sums?
Any doubts? Any of you have any doubts about that formula that I've just explained? It's like benefit minus cost, multiply by 10, divide by the cost. So that's how you calculate your ROI, which is different from your metric. So a lot of our clients, after spending the money, they come and ask us, hey, can you tell us, did that campaign make sense? So we go back to them and show them a lot of analytics and then the return on investment calculation. Then they realize that, okay, we spent 50,000 dirhams on that particular campaign using apps and using various methods to promote it through various channels of social media, and then we show them that this is the end result. Now, there are qualitative and quantitative metric. Say, for instance, let me give you an example of Facebook. Say, likes, very quantitative.
Yep.
Then you have, say, positive reviews that you get, qualitative, quantitative. The reach, quantitative, but at the same time, it has got a quality aspect as well there. So similarly, if you look at the Twitter, it's favorite or hashtag, retweet, almost similar, followers and stuff like that for Instagram as well. So these are the various metric that you look at, so that's how you calculate the ROI, simply put.
What's been your most successful campaign? And when I say successful, I mean, okay, it's had the reach, but also had the best return on investment.
Okay. Let me give you an example of a campaign that we have done. Very good question. You're really making me think off my head.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
We all want to learn.
Okay, wait. World Heart Day that we have done for Fitness First, right? The campaign was very simple. It was like you have to go on the site, on the Facebook site, print a coupon, 1-day free pass, go to any other Fitness First, all right, and then experience the service, convert that to a quarterly or a half-yearly or an annual membership. Mm-hmm. So now that you asked me the question, let me explain to them the ROI. So now here, the investment is the app, the cost that you put behind the printing of those coupons. Mm-hmm. Now let's look at the return on investment. People going into Fitness First and getting that free 1 day is not the ROI. But if they converted that into a 3-month, 6 months, or a 1 year, so which we had very good number. We converted like almost about 47 people, which for the brand was a great success. And it was a very simple coupon app which you can do on a WooBox or what have you.
And then that would have been cost-wise?
It
fairly
was
minimal.
Very cost-effective,
yeah.
Very minimal. I don't think we spent more than about 15,000 dirhams on that campaign, but they had 47 multiplied by 5,000 on an average was the conversions. Mm-hmm. So then you minus your cost and multiply and do the calculations that I've told you, you get the sort of ROI.
And that puts it all into perspective for everyone. So we've talked about a number of aspects. You're saying, for your example, Facebook's one of the most popular ways of converting social media interaction into sales. Do you find that as well? Because I know we talked about Instagram.
Well, as all of us know, Instagram is becoming very popular. And you know that Instagram is today, Facebook and Instagram, just one company. And very soon, Instagram is also going to take on a big-scale advertisements as well on board. It is very photo-driven, as all of us know. For corporates, it is to sort of promote its image, products, and particularly restaurants and fashion industry can definitely use Instagram to the optimum. Obviously, it definitely converting people to your fans and followers have both these qualitative and quantitative benefits in ensuring that the organization take advantage of that vast platform. And one good thing here is that unlike the conventional media, the social media platforms of analytics as a backend, whether it's Facebook Insights or it's Twitter Analytics, or if you're on Google Analytics to find out the broad details, or you go for something like a social baker, which can give you all of this channel aggregated analytics. So therefore, the tool, you have the tools, but obviously you need an agency who will think social media all the time. We spend a lot of money going and attending conferences around the world, picking up what is new out there. You know, the trends in US is something that we very, very actively follow. So now, when the organization tap into the kind of resources that we have, obviously they are able to think much more advanced than their customers think.
I found, I'll come back just to that. I found Toolwise, a program called CYFE.com. And on that, I can load all my social media and track all the analytics straight away. So every morning, I can go and I can track everything from my book sales on Amazon. I can track how many more subscribers I've had on my YouTube page, how many more minutes have been viewed, how many more people have followed me on Facebook, or how many people have followed on Twitter. And I find just having, for me as a small business, to be able to go in and just have one. It's not where you can upload information, but it's where you can record everything and manage it. I found a real useful tool. I just wanted to bring any last sort of closing comments from yourself, Ahmed and Shikka. Is there anything that you would like to share with the rest of your audience?
Coming back to Baiju, exactly, as long as we have a lot of information about our customers, as long as we can help them better and service them better and give them what they need. So analytics is a good thing to start with, and having all the insights from the analytics is a very good wealth of information to know.
Anything you wanted to add?
I'd like to talk a little bit about content. This is something that comes up a lot. I mean, it's great to push, products and information, but it's also trying to understand is what the customer really wants. And I'm sure you have experience with this, is that people want to be entertained, they want free stuff, they want to be wowed, they want to be the first to know about something, they want people to be talking, they want to be part of a conversation. So content is really king when it comes to social media. And it's about having the right mix of content. Are you going to make people laugh? Are you going to get an emotion out of them? Are you going to create a need? There's a book that I read recently about the new dawn in retail, and it talks about how experiences, and this could even be through videos or even Instagram, if you create an elevated experience for someone where they get excited, that is actually psychologically connected to converting more sales and making people want to buy something. So if there's something that's out there that's, super coveted, it's just going to launch, and you have a build up to that moment and you're creating really good content in that platform, that makes people excited and want to buy your products even more, rather than just taking pictures or images or mundane posters of this is what we have right now.
Absolutely. But I think and just to finish off there, that now it's becoming much more accessible, but the final thing would be, is that there needs to be internet access in every single place available for those to be able to interact straight away. So whether that's having the option to go into a store and like it. If you're talking visitors, people want to have access to the internet all the time. And I do think in this day and age, it needs to be free, easy to get on so that everyone can start sharing the message and everything that's there. So I'm having a little look now at the phone to see who has asked a question via social media. And I have to say, I'm very disappointed to see that it's 0. So far, no one has hashtagged, apart from Onstage International, who've taken a picture. Thank you very much. And Majid as well. So I'm going to pass over here. Does anyone have any questions about, we got to,
Well, that's why I have taken a step back at the initial start of my talk, wherein I said that you set your social media strategy as a second stage. First, you fix your business goals and objective with social media. So you will have to factor in all of those investments that you're going to make for your social media, and then ideally you need to have a planned investment, say for a period of, it's not a tactical approach that you're taking. So whenever you start with your social media first, it's always very tactical, and you want to have all of these questions popping out later. But then first, put your social media investment in place on the back of your business goals. And then after that, you get your social media goals, and then the objectives and the tactics, then you will be able to find out what sort of an investment that you're making for that particular channel, like how you do for all the other media channels. So that will be able to give you a clear understanding of your costs and then the cost versus benefit. I hope I answered your question correctly. So that's why I started off there.
Anyone else have any questions? Perfect.
What would be a good benchmark for the return on investment of social media? 5%, 6%, 8%?
Well, I haven't heard of any benchmark that's there as of now. But what I've noticed is that the organizations that we work with, like just to give you an example, we have a client called Mourady. How many of you heard of Mourady? I don't think many people here know Mourady, but they have 40 million followers on our Facebook, and they are like the Google Play. So just to give you an example, when they come up with, all their services are free, by the way. When they come up with a wallpaper or a ringtone, say if it is targeted towards an Android user, we have to target that particular ad to an Android user, certain age group, and also if it's a male or a female, depending on what sort of a wallpaper or what have you. So therefore, the way that we look at it is, base a huge amount of money for a particular campaign, then break it down into various apps and what have you, and then calculate the ROI based on the spend for each of those activities. And often times, some of them we don't find much of a results, but then most of it we get 10 to 15% on that level. But when I'm talking about a campaign like that we have done for Fitness First, for instance, 47 conversions for a spend of 10,000 dirhams using a basic app was sort of maybe 150%, something like that. So there is no benchmark to say at this point in time. It varies, but what we have noticed is that it's hugely beneficial if you have the kind of base that you are targeting.
Dr. Ahmed, did you have anything you wanted to
Yeah,
add?
I have another thing, because it's difficult to measure return on investment on a social media because it's a very wide and it's a lifetime program, let's say. But it's easier to measure an initiative, a campaign, for example, and related to sales. But for example, we have very many qualitative return on investments, like better customer service, like brand awareness, all those stuff. Looking at the investment at the beginning and what do you your cost in generating the content and having all your fans, then it's very negligible. It's very low cost and high impact on the society and on your fans. So I think it's better to measure it on a campaign base, not on a long-term program.
I've just had a tweet, so I'm very happy and I'm about to share it.
Great.
It's to you. A proposal. If a 20-year-old girl have worked out the social media to raise from 47,000 followers to 1.4 million, she deserves a reward.
Yes, of course. We had 3 awards.
Would we agree? Thank you very much for the tweet there. Anyone else have any more questions?
Yes, to answer your question, Shikka mentioned, what's that?
In the mic.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah. One of my question is like, is it advisable to do competitions into the social media or do brand awareness into the social media? Where do you go?
It's a very, very relevant and a topical question today, asked all across social media platforms, and a very valid and interesting question too. Shikka mentioned that content is the king. Yes, indeed, content is the king. Now, the new buzzword is competition is the king. So, in other words, engaging. It's not about how many fans are sitting there. It's about how are you engaging them. So when I mentioned about the metric on Facebook, and I said likes, reach, and what have you, the qualitative thing there is engagement. Now, how would you engage? You need to, even a word puzzle, we noticed that the engagement and the reach is a lot more. There's something called the post views, page views, and stuff like that. So when we run a competition, we always see that there are great results. Now, the example that I've taken on of Fitness First, it was a competition. It's a very simple competition, and we're given something for free. So, well, I agree, competition is the king today.
Can I add something to that? So I also feel like it comes back to your social media strategy, you know, as in what is my plan for every single month or every single week? How often do I want to put competitions in there? How often do I just want to do brand engagement? Because there's also, and this is someone that I actually know, there's also always that fear that if you always post competitions, then the people who are going to follow you are just going to be there for the freebies. They're not really your target customer. So it's all about having the right strategy in mind and where you want to plug in those different engagement tools and models is really something that you have to plan in advance so that you do everything at the right time and in the right quantity and amounts. So.
Absolutely right. That's very important. Obviously, you need to have the content strategy, your social media strategy on the back of your business plan, like I said before. That's
absolutely, and the planning. Anyone else for any other questions? Thank you. Can you hear? She's making her way across. Whilst I check my social media again to see if anyone else has added anything else, but they haven't. So we need to, social media.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't get it. What kind of competition we can make in the content? Yani, give me an idea. How could we?
Do you want to tell us a little bit of a background of what you do? Maybe we can give you something more specific.
How you can make a competition about your brand? Or about the brand we are marketing about or promoting? Or?
Do you have a brand in mind, a specific brand, or just generally? Do you mean fashion, generally. Food, anything? So do you want to take this first and then I can add in?
What about if the brand is we are doing a real estate service? So what kind of competition
you know, can make? You could perhaps look at very simple competitions. People like, now the competition, first of all, you need to have a target audience, and you need to have a certain number of fans to have the competitions to work. If you haven't started off any competition, try to plug that in your content grid. You know, in your overall strategic plan. So so that's the first step. And then you look at how much you want to spend for a competition. Now the elements are, you need to have an application to be developed. There are very simple applications that you can generate out of the social media, the platforms that are available for free or minimal cost. For example, something like a WooBox. So in a WooBox, what you can do is you can generate either a coupon application where some of your fans can go and receive certain coupons, and they come to your shop, and there will be a barcode that is generated. You scan that or a QR code, and then they receive some gifts. Or you can run a competition wherein offer a prize on the platform, and then let people answer certain simple questions, for instance, and random pick some people, and ensure that you go back and announce as to who the winner is, and try and take the photograph of the winner and then post it back. So linking online, offline, and bringing it back to your social media group is very important to generate the sort of loyalty, and then build and grow your competition strategy over a period of time. So start with very simple competitions, but ensure that this is part of the second stage of what I have mentioned, your overall social media goal, strategy, tactics, metric.
I would also want to add to that as well, that we're talking about pictures here, and something that has been incredibly important for me is the video aspect. And it seems to be, I feel in this market, we're a little bit further behind when it comes to the global market, when it comes to video and interaction. And nowadays, with the fact that all our phones, everything has the opportunity, there could be the fact where you can get people to record themselves and upload the information. So it's spreading that through the social media, and it's not just pictures. I think video gives an instant connection. Although lovely, nice pictures do add to it, I think that there needs to be much more in the way of interaction now through video in order to compete with the global market in terms of their social media as well. Would you guys agree with me?
Yeah, absolutely. I also feel like I like that you said the competitions need to be really simple. And the main thing in any competition is your call to action has to be really easy and immediate. If there's a contest on there which is, take this picture, copy it, post it here, share it with 20 friends, you've lost the person already. So there's a really fast, simple call to action where, all you need to do is tweet this with this hashtag to win, or answer this question to win something, and make it super clear. You'll get a lot of engagement. A lot of things that we've also seen as well is a lot of the marketing teams and PR teams, they don't hold the contest through their brand or website. They actually send the contest out through influencers to host the contest for them. So you'll see, like a famous celeb, or again, going back to a blogger, an influencer, saying that I am hosting this contest for this person. So what they're trying to do in that way, which is really smart, is because they're running the contest through someone who has all this following, they're getting those followers to then come back and follow them. So they're simple call to actions for these things.
I was just going to finish up. I appreciate we're coming up. We've got our next speaker on, but I have another question. So I'm very happy if you're okay if I answer this. Thank you very much to Sushi Bahrain. Question to Kelly Lundberg: how to balance your posts between personal and professional posts? Which I think is a very interesting aspect, and certainly in my own business, I have two separate platforms, and I do have a professional platform and I do have a personal platform through Kelly Lundberg, and Stanley Devine also have one. I do think it's important when you are out in media that you have your own social media presence as well as a business presence, for two things. Because people want to know about you. People want to know the personal things to a point. They don't want to know what you had for breakfast, but they do want to know maybe what you went to see at the weekend, or they maybe want to know, from my perspective, what I wore to a particular event. So I do think it's incredibly important to have both, especially if you're someone that's in the media, or someone that's, whether it's in the press or someone who has a professional business. People do want to know both, but I think there's a delicate balance on that too. So that brings us to an end. Thank you very much. Anything else that's hashtagged or that comes through my social media, I will try to answer this throughout the rest of the day as one of my jobs. But thank you very much for your expert opinions. I hope we've all learned a few excellent tools, and thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Well, Kelly, thank you very much indeed. Fantastic moderation of that panel. Thanks, of course, to your panelists as well for those insights. And in particular, thank you to everybody for your questions and your participation this morning. It is, as always, invaluable. And we continue now. Lunch will be served in about an hour, but to whet your appetite, to get us in the mood, we're going to talk about the role of food service in the shopping experience. And to share some insights on that is someone that many of you have heard from already this week. He is the president of the Great American Brokerage, a company in New York that focuses on restaurants and retail, a company he founded in 1980. Since when, I think it has placed more retail establishments in the greater New York area than any other brokerage. His own career dates back more than half a century. 1963 is when our next speaker began his career in the restaurant business. And really his experience goes not just coast to coast in the United States, from New York to California, but also globally, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Paris, London, and here in Dubai, where he is a restaurant consultant for Dubai Festival City. That is impressive. What's more impressive is that when he's not building a retail and restaurant empire, he's running marathons, 260 of them at the last count, with a personal best of 2 hours and 21 minutes. Will you please welcome Paul Fetscher. Paul, come and join us. Thank you. Thank you indeed.
Good morning. Anybody still awake? Let's try this again. Good morning. All right. How many people are hungry? We can go all the way back to ancient Rome. When people and shoppers came to the market, somebody had to provide food for them. That was part of the process, part of the experience. As we move through the Arabian markets and through the grand bazaars, we had food, generally fresh, unprepared food. This is what we needed in order to help take care of the folks that came to marketplace. And in a modern shopping center, it's no different. If we go back to Les Halles in Paris, this is where the history of the restaurant started, because they started serving prepared foods that were ready to eat. People would come to the market. They may travel 1, 2, 3 hours. They may travel for a day in order to come to market. And as they did that, they needed to restore their energies. In order to do that, someone had to give them a restorative, a restoratif. And the person who did that was the restorer, the restaurateur. And the place where that was done became known as the restaurant. So let's not forget that purpose of the restaurant. Now, I don't know about you, but my closets are full. How many people here bought a suit yesterday, bought a dress yesterday? How many people here ate yesterday? Good. I ate yesterday, I ate today, and I'm probably going to eat tomorrow. At this time, we'd like to remind you to eat and drink at regular intervals. Thank you for continuing to hold. We know that if you grocery shop after a meal, you'll spend less. But conversely, feed them, and they will spend more. We know through research, other than the first 30 minutes spent in a shopping center, the dollars spent and the time spent run an absolute parallel. Now, I walked through Dubai Mall the other day for about 3 hours. I wanted to make it a point to see all 1,200 stores. By the time I was 2/3 of the way through, I was ready to restore my energies. With the shoppers, this is very much what we want to bring to them. Looking in the United States, we've got to look at a little bit of the profile, who the shopper is, and when they shop. In 1900, a mere 9% of women were in the workforce. By 1960, that had risen to 29%. And that was the advent of doing such unthinkable things as putting two department stores together in the same place. That really started emerging in the late 50s, early 60s. 29% of the women were working, meaning 71% of the women were available to go shopping today. By 2010, that has risen to 71% of the women are available in the marketplace, cutting down on the people that are ready to go out and do that. In 1970, your typical shopper, the majority of shoppers, were two women shopping together. That was the vast majority of shoppers. It was their favorite social thing. Mary and Sally would get together and they would go out, and their day is going to be at the mall. They're going to visit any day of the week. They would visit an average of 9 stores. They'd spend at least 3 hours, and chances are they would eat a meal. That would be part of their shopping experience, girls' day out. By 2010, we find that we have a much shorter length of visit with a higher frequency of customer visit. You have many individual shoppers. Somebody's just got to run in and get a job, a handbag, a dress to do something, a blouse that she saw. The women shopping in America still outnumber the men. There is that higher frequency of visits. And in super regional malls, places with 300 or so stores, the length of visit is down to 90 minutes. The average shopper will only visit 2.7 stores, and they may or they may not eat a meal. That has applications and implications for food service. So what do we do about that? Well, one of the things we can do with regional mall solutions, we can find out in certain malls, 50% of all sales can occur after 5 o'clock on Friday, plus all day Saturday, all day Sunday. What we can do is bring people there in the evenings during the week. Let's add movie theaters in order to increase evening traffic. What time is lunchtime? 12 till 2. In a regional mall, typically it's 12 to 3. But in the evening, what time is it dinner time? 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I had one dinner here in Dubai, my first night in. The entree hit the table a little after 11. So if you can increase evening traffic, you can increase the food service sales there. In America, we have lifestyle centers. Lifestyle centers are different than regional malls. In typical regional malls, we find in the small store space, about 10% of the GLA is devoted to food service, and about 10% of gross sales comes from that 10% that's food service. But in a lifestyle center, that's a little different. You see, in regional malls, you're at about 60% of the GLA is devoted to fashion. The vast majority of that, women's fashion, as opposed to the men's fashion. But in a lifestyle center, you have about 35% of the gross leasable area is devoted to food. These are the kind of places where you have a sense of place. You have an increased frequency of customer visit, and it's the kind of place you go to just for the sake of being there. You don't necessarily go with the idea you're going to eat at a particular market or a particular restaurant, but you know if you go there, you'll have a wide choice. These are the things that are going to work for you. An idea of an early lifestyle center, Faneuil Hall in Boston. Now, Faneuil Hall goes back 200 years as a marketplace, but it was redeveloped in the 1970s, along with some of the early cart merchandising, that Faneuil Hall in Boston is about 35% food service. It's a great place to gather. It's a public space. There are all sorts of street entertainers who who, by the way, have to audition in order for the right to have a scheduled time there. And they're not allowed to go out and shove their hat under your nose, but they can put out a receptacle for your generous contributions. Navy Pier in Chicago, another place. This is about 40% food service. And as you can tell by the little hint of having a Ferris wheel there, this is a place that brings excitement, that brings people, that you go to for entertainment or evening entertainment. The Grove in Los Angeles, they had a very nice daytime and weekend business. They did something very interesting to try to build evening traffic or late afternoon traffic where otherwise they had a slump. They have a TV show that's a national TV show, tell you the latest things in celebrity news. And that takes place and is broadcast from the common area of the Grove. And that alone brings hundreds, if not 1,000 people a day to the location. But that's certainly not peculiar to the United States. Cape Town, South Africa, indeed has the same sort of gathering. Something else which was old and recycled and now a very, very vibrant marketplace, Covent Garden in London. The Fremont Street experience in Las Vegas. This is very interesting. This is the original Glitter Gulch. Fremont Street is where the gaming really started in Las Vegas many years ago. It probably peaked back in the late 40s, early 50s. But this was Glitter Gulch. This is where you went to have fun. There are 7 casinos over a stretch of about 600 meters. Both sides plus one at the end. Since the Strip in Las Vegas Boulevard, was building bigger and better casinos, that Fremont Street had fallen into very, very, very low traffic. 7 casinos were drawing, on average, fewer than 5,000 gamers per day. Well, how to do something about that? They created a business improvement district where the contributors were the 7 casinos. They put together some money in the hopes of doing something. John Jurdy, the architect out of Los Angeles, created this overhead canopy. Now you get some winds in Las Vegas. If you look at it at the edges, you can see where it's almost like Venetian blinds. But on these Venetian blinds, there are 1.2 million LED bulbs that can run in any color. In other words, you've turned this into a giant screen. It's a television screen. You can put shows on there. Now, what this has done is this is unique. I haven't seen this done anywhere else in the world, but I'm sure if we give it another 2.5 weeks, we'll have it here in Dubai. What they've done here is you'll put together a show. It may be silhouettes of Sammy Davis Jr. tapping along to Mr. Bojangles. It may be a flyover of jets. You would have in this location 600 speakers. So if the jets are flying overhead, you're going to hear them coming down here. They'll fly over you, and you watch them disappear in the distance. They put on a 5-minute show when it's dark, every hour, on the hour. What that does is increases dwell time. So if you were to go there, walk up and down, look at a bunch of the shops, a series of kiosks, a number of artisans creating art, the old girls with the fans behind them from the grand glamour days of the Follies, and have your picture taken with them, you might have a 30 or 40-minute visit. But wait, if I stay another 10 minutes, I can see another show. So every hour on the hour, the lights are dimmed in the front of the casinos, the Four Queens. You've probably seen it, the cowboy standing there with his legs crossed and his hat pulled down. Those are the icons that you have on the boulevard. But now, it's showtime. Was this successful? Prior to putting this together, the visiting was 5,000 people a day. Today, they're getting close to 70,000 people on an average day, with over 100,000 people on big weekends. That, indeed, is an experience. Jean-Louis Solal, dear friend and very, very active, the man who started ICSC in Europe, came up with a very interesting observation about the types of centers, the lifestyle centers we're talking about. Walking down, you don't see people looking at their watch during a street fair. This is the kind of atmosphere that we can create, restore energies, have people not particularly time crunched, because we do have a time crunched consumer. But if we can give them a lovely place to dine, waterfront dining, preferably in a temperate atmosphere, we can indeed keep them entertained. They feel good about themselves. One of the shifts that we've had is what supermarkets have figured out to do with value-added foods. You can buy a can of peas and you're lucky, after all is said and done, if there's a 5-cent profit margin that actually falls to the bottom line on that. But supermarkets, the particular one we're looking at here is Wegmans. Wegmans is about a 12,000 square meter supermarket. This particular one is in Rochester, New York. 35% of their internal GLA sales space is devoted to value-added foods that account for better than 50% of their sales at substantially more attractive profit margins than you have on your standard supermarket items. So they, in the downturn of 2008, as everybody got squashed and started pulling back on dining out, the supermarkets were the winner in the category. Supermarkets across America that were participating in these sort of meals. The ready to heat, ready to eat, get a meal that's ready to go. These are important things. But by the way, you can't pay for groceries with Facebook stock. But you do have meal solutions. Now, if I have restaurants, I want to know something about that restaurant. If I'm driving down the highway, when do you really make a decision about where you're going to dine tonight? Do you pick up a newspaper and look for ads? Do you pick up a telephone book and look in the classified section? When you're driving down the highway, you want to know something about that restaurant. So in order to learn about that restaurant and learn what it is, there are 7 magic questions that you're going to ask yourself. First question is, what's this place all about? If you have a restaurant that's nondescript like this, I don't know what the price point is, I don't know what they're going to charge, I don't know much about the restaurant. But it's up to the person who is putting this together to come up with the right kind of exposure, architecture, design, logo that's going to be able to answer these 7 questions. Number 2, what kind of food do they serve? How long will it take? We do have a time-starved consumer. They're getting squeezed. Everybody needs more time. And question number 4, how much will it cost? How formal or informal is it? I want to make sure I'm dressed appropriately, but I also want to make sure that I have the right kind of experience. It may be full serve in tuxedos, it may be high-end white tablecloth, it may be casual dining, or it may be totally informal. Number 6, this is very important. How much whimsy is involved? You like people who can laugh at themselves. We all do. We like companies that can laugh at themselves. We like restaurants that have a good sense of humor among themselves. So if their branding message, their advertising message, their self-concept that they share with you is something that can convey whimsy, it kind of brings a smile to your face and say, I could have fun if I went to that place. So let's take a look at somebody that you know right here from the region, a South African company that indeed has plenty of whimsy.
MSG?
Any hormones?
Are you carrying any excess fat?
No?
Good.
We've scoured the country to find Australia's favorite chicken.
You all get your chance in front of the judges, so just relax.
Are you prepared to be marinated in peri-peri?
Basted?
Flame grilled?
8 chickens, 1 hen house, 1 peri-peri fries.
Who will be Australia's favorite chicken?
Yes, you're going to Sydney!
Peri-peri chicken, Nando's, based out of South Africa, over 600 units in South Africa, over 600 units in England, and that was an ad that they ran on their entry to Australia. But that wasn't all. They also, well, in advertising, you sometimes say, did they go over the line? Well, they get right up to that line and have a lot of fun with it, and a lot of fun with themselves. If we can get the second video, please.
I know, I'm so spoiled. It is you. Hang on a sec. Excuse me. Hi, hi. Hi. Where's my chips? They're on your plate. No, they're not. Where? There they are. The bigger, fuller, bouncier, double-breasted burger from Nando's.
Now, Nando's marinates their chicken for 24 hours. They do a great job with that. But their recipe, which is based on the peri-peri pepper, it's interesting to see, well, some of their secrets. And we're going to share with you one of their secrets. I hope.
Tem sido segredo por centenas de anos. Segredo trazido para a Austrália pelos nossos antepassados portugueses. Este segredo bem guardado é o mistério por trás do nosso delicioso frango com piripiri no churrasco. Agora, finalmente estamos preparados para mostrar ao mundo o segredo em como o frango do Nando's é feito.
This tells you a little bit about the amount of whimsy that you might find with them. Here's a restaurant that started in Chicago. The name of the operation is Ed DeBevick's. It's 360 seats in a diner-style format. But here's how the servers are dressed. They will play 50s-style rock and roll music. They're totally irreverent. The servers will wear very simple buttons like eat and get out. If you look at them, you can see when certain songs come on, the servers will jump up on the counter, form their dance line, and dance along together and have a lot of fun. They have a lot of fun with it. You have the fun with them. The servers will come and actually sit with you in your booth in order to get this. Like, hey, how you doing today? Ready to have something? A lot of fun with Ed DeBevick's. Now, while a place like that, you would think, will take forever to get your food out because you got 360, over 90% of their items are dish and serve. So they serve American comfort food, and if you order meatloaf, guess what? The meatloaf is already cooked. You can take it from there. It is simple dish and serve. They will have, despite what appears to be chaos at the front, they will have the food in front of you in less than 5 minutes. That gives them the ability to turn, and they're respecting the time of the time-starved consumer in that I'm going to get you food, it's going to be good, it's going to be wholesome, I'm going to get it to you fast, and you'll have the opportunity to laugh while you're here and have a good time. Joe's Crab Shack. This is an operation started down in Galveston, Texas, and has a number of places around now. But if you look at this, look at the outside, you get a feel for what this place is going to be like. You can start to answer those questions. If you just look at the exterior, you can get an idea. This is, well, with the multicolors, yeah, should be a little bit of fun in there. Crab Shack, okay, they're going to be serving seafood in there, and it's a good experience. Dick's Last Resort, just look at that logo. How irreverent can you be? You know this is going to be a real let your hair down place. If I walked in like this, I'm going to be dreadfully overdressed. The guests often, they make funny hats for them. You can see two folks there with hats. That's not local New Orleans dress. That happens to be people, they'll write funny things on them. I had dinner with a friend there one night, and they made a hat for him, said, older than dirt. Just funny things that they have, so people come there to laugh at themselves and make sure they have that. It's a great place to gather. It is extremely strong with tourists. When you order ribs, they bring ribs, all sliced separate, and they come in a bucket. You got a table, half a dozen guys, boom, a bucket of beer shows up. They lay down newspaper in front of you so that you, when you have ribs, just so you won't make a lot of fun. It is high energy, high themed, foreground music, moderate cost, but low in the formality scale. There you are, having fun. If there's a celebration for something, they give you a pile of napkins so everybody can throw them into the air and yell, hooray. Question number 7. Will I profit from this transaction? You see, when you go into a restaurant, whether you do it consciously or unconsciously, you got a little P&L going on in your head. Let's take Olive Garden. When you walk into Olive Garden, they greet you with their hospitality. The first thing they do is bring you a bunch of breadsticks. These are baked off on premises, and they're slathered with garlic and oil. They're hot, they're aromatic, they taste good. That's the first thing. Here, have all you want. After that, they'll bring out the salads. And they'll put a large bowl on the table. Have as much salad as you want. I got to tell you, if you just sat there for 20 minutes after having all the breadsticks you wanted and all the salad you wanted, 20 minutes later, you'd be satiated. You'd be just fine. Then, about 15 minutes later, out comes your dinner. Here was one promotion they ran. Buy one, take one. What happens with the P&L when after you've had all the bread you want, you've had all the salad you want, and 15 minutes later, out comes your meal, you start eating that, you're halfway through, and you go, man, I'm full. What happens to the P&L, the value? Gee, I got enough that I could eat a meal here and take a meal home. You do that, how does that rate on the P&L scale? You got enough for lunch tomorrow. That was great. See you tomorrow for dinner. I have chairs up here. Let's assume these chairs are in a restaurant. How much can I rent this chair for? Well, let's say I go into a McDonald's. I get a Big Mac, I get fries, I get a Coke. In New York, that's going to cost you about $8. From the time I turn from the counter, go around to get myself a seat, I'm going to be out in 15 minutes. So that's $8 in 15 minutes is the rate of $32 an hour. Well, let's go out. Let's go out and spend a little more. Let's go to a casual theme restaurant. Let's go to TGI Fridays. Let's have a burger, a beer, and fries. That's going to cost me take about 40 minutes. That's going to give me a seat value of about $30 an hour. Tell you what, let's go out for a real nice meal now. Let's go out to Il Mulino. Il Mulino is the highest rated Italian restaurant in New York. 23 of 25 years, it was voted #1 by Zagat's. Going to cost $100. It's going to take me about 3 hours. The value of the seat, I just rented it for $33 an hour. So your ability to do business successfully is limited by how much I can rent that seat for per hour. But here are a couple of people who have beaten that. Wagamama Noodle Shop, based out of London. They've got now, I think, 30 some odd throughout London and 1 in the United States. The operation is a beautiful brigade system of producing the foods. The broth is already made. The tofu is already sliced. They can assemble a meal and get it to you in 3 to 5 minutes. Their check average is about $18, and their turn time is 20 minutes. That gives you about a 50% lift in the dollars per seat per hour. Taking this, the people behind this, one of them is an investor in another operation called Oaxaca. Oaxaca is one of those wonderful hot restaurants. This particular one I ate in is around the corner from Covent Garden in London. In this restaurant, the wait time is longer than the turn time. You'll have to wait 45 minutes in order to get a meal that you'll finish in 30 minutes. Their ticket delivery time is 3 to 5 minutes on the dish and serve. Their check average is about $28 a person. 28 times 2, $56 an hour. The vast majority of restaurants are going to fit in that $32 an hour. But if you're in a place with high turnover and the like, you're going to get it. I can go to the other end of the scale. Let's go out here for a coffee and cake. I'm going to spend 20 minutes and spend $8. So you see the productivity per seat per hour at one end of the scale in a coffee shop is going to be made up for by their profit margins and their gross profit or low cost of goods sold. The winners that you will find coming up now are the ones who can beat that 32 hours by anticipating, by doing dish and serve, by getting the food to the guest promptly. Build it and they will come, won't they? We've all seen restaurants fail. So I want to give you the measuring stick to which to look at the restaurants with 5 important factors. If you ask someone what they want in a restaurant, everybody goes, well, I want good food at a reasonable price. But also now let's watch what they do. Number 1 is, let's figure out what makes a restaurant popular. The single most important factor is atmosphere. No question about it. Number 2 is cleanliness. Now, you don't walk in and say, hey, that was a clean restaurant. But for sure, they'll lose you. One day I walked into a restaurant in New York. Someone had told me I had to meet this restaurateur. He's great. He's doing 350 brunches every Saturday and every Sunday. He's ready to grow. You got to meet this guy. He's going to do a terrific job. I walked up to the store and I looked at the storefront, and there was a lack of attention to detail that just kind of sat with me. Went walking inside, lady I was with, and we sat down. We looked at the menu. It was a little pricey, but then we looked at the platters. The platters were 18-inch platters piled high with food. Okay, they charge you a lot, but they give you a lot. That's fine. But what the storefront had looked at troubled me a little. I said, do me a favor, would you? Go to the washroom. She said, I don't have to go to the washroom. I said, do me a favor, just go wash your hands. She was back in 90 seconds. She goes, get up, we're not eating here. Cleanliness, it's a turnoff, but it is very, very important. It's more important than factor number 3, which is service. In service, you want your servers to be social, enthusiastic. Hey, I'm glad to see you today. Responsible, vibrant, intelligent, courteous, and engaged. So much of what happens that's so important is that engagement, the rapport. Hi, I'm Paul. I'm going to be your server tonight. Initially, you can go Paul rather than, hey, you. I've given them permission to call me by my name, which now helps to establish rapport. It's that engagement. It's that logged-on service that does it. Now, I have a friend named Tom Moxey. He runs an operation, a collection of hearty American places with craft beer. The name of the place is Rock Bottom Brewery. Hello, you've reached Rock Bottom. When you speak to Rock Bottom Brewery, he takes his servers and gets them to execute what he calls logged-on service. So before you approach a table, see if they're busy and having a wonderful time, and boy, they're really high energy. Are they kind of quiet? Or maybe there's something stuck in their craw and it's not working well. You have to execute logged-on service and approach the people in the same mood they're in. Now, I can take somebody that may be kind of quiet and set back, but hey, we've got a great dish tonight I want to tell you about, and get more enthusiastic with that to pace them and lead them. Service, the relationship you have with your server, is so important. From there, if you haven't served them well, they just might tell you. And that's going to leave you with an angry guest. Number 4, food consistency. My name is Consistency. I'm related to success. We should hang out more than every once in a while. I went to a restaurant one night, they stumbled in, hey, let's try this place. Go in there, they had a vermicelli crab cake that was awesome. It was absolutely terrific. I introduced myself to the owner, told him what I do, gave him a call. Maybe 2 weeks later, I had a couple of friends coming in from out of town. 6 of us show up for dinner. Everything went wrong. A fire alarm goes off. They said nothing about it. They didn't offer anything. They didn't apologize. The food was dreadfully inconsistent. Have I ever been back there since? They were out of business in 6 months. Food consistency. Let me ask you a question about food consistency. Did you have a great meal at a McDonald's? Did you ever walk and go, boy, that was a great meal? Howard Johnson, the same sort of thing. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's, well, I could say the food's about an 8 on a scale of 1 to 20. So you may not ever have had a great meal at McDonald's, but it's consistent, and it's consistent around the world. Number 5 is food quality. Oh, hold it, I asked my consumer before about what's important to him, and he told me, I want good food at a reasonable price. So the way people think, number 1, food quality. The way people act is number 5, food quality. It's going to be less important than the atmosphere, than the cleanliness, than the service, or the consistency. Now, you see, I can take you out to a fruit and vegetable stand and fill your stomach with nutritious food for about $2. Why do I go to a restaurant? You have to ask yourself, what business are we really in? Why would people spend $10, $20, $30, $40, $100 for a meal when I can get all the nutrition I need for $2? See, the business we are really in is, how do I feel about myself while I'm in the space? If I'm in a grand space, if it's a space that's well decorated, well appointed, great architecture, good lighting, there's flattering lighting so the person across from me looks good. If I have all of that, I feel good about that. I'm willing to pay far more for that experience than merely filling my stomach with nutritious food. You see, people will walk and follow other people to good restaurants. This is the social experience and the social interaction that we expect. Example, you're in a city like New York. It's the end of the day, we're going to stop for a beer. We've got 2 places side by side. First one has a 24-foot bar. There are 2 servers behind the bar, and half the seats are empty. Great, we can get in there and get served right away. Next door to that, we see another bar. Also got a 20-foot bar, 2 servers behind there, and it's too deep at the bar. Which one do you walk into? It works great with sheep, works great with lemmings, and works great with people. If we're going to have that good experience, and that restaurant experience has those 5 basic elements of atmosphere, cleanliness, service, food consistency, food quality, and if you are consistent in that across your brand, you can develop raving fans. Now, we looked at Nando's before, but Nando's is a very special company in a couple of ways. One way is that they have done a superlative job of giving their good food, fun atmosphere, but they also give back a lot. The one thing I forgot to pack is something that the owner, Robbie Drazen, gave me, is a bracelet. It's a small beaded bracelet. He has these made in Africa. They're made in little villages. He sells them for $3. Of the $3, $1 goes back to the village, so you have this village and cottage industry. The second $1 is the cost of administrating the program, taking them, packaging them, distributing them throughout their stores. The third $1 he uses to buy mosquito netting in malaria-laden Africa. He says, I don't know if anyone who ever sleeps under these will ever walk into a Nando's and buy a meal. It may be thousands of miles away, it may be hundreds of thousands of people away. But he says, if in one way I can save lives and make people better, then Nando's has done a good job. Now, if you're a server, if you're in management, if you are a worker in a restaurant that's giving back and doing something of good that doesn't bring you an immediate return, do you feel good about yourself? Do you feel good about your company? Or are you going to do a little better with that? So Nando's is the kind of company that not only is a bit cheeky in their commercials, but they are superlative in what they do, in taking their brand, and successfully being the cultural translators to take this nation to nation.
It's really become a part of me. I think the values that we live, you know, the passion, the pride, courage, integrity, and family, that's all become so ingrained in me. I can't actually tell the difference between, you know, what's Nando's and what's me now.
The world is looking for something unique, and I think that's what Nando's has. It's an absolutely unique brand. So, yeah, you want to be part of that. It's good. It feels good.
I find it hugely satisfying when I go to a country and I see a Nando's restaurant. You know, you are part of that family, the brand.
The one thing you look at and stands out is the expression on the face of the person that's sitting eating your food. The first bite, the last bite, the cleaning of the plate and removing all the sauce.
We find a lot of customers like the Nando's kind of character, the Nando's way of advertising, which is quite cheeky. And when we started on social media, for example, a lot of customers were, they were the ones that were using all the funny words in Nando's, you know, before we in social media started it.
Is there any better product than the Nando's chicken? If it wasn't the Nando's, then we wouldn't have been this great product. Yes, there are all these copycats like Barcelos and whatever, but they're all copycats of Nando's. Nando's basically launched this wonderful peri-peri chicken to the world. And you form an attachment that it's love. I mean, I think, I don't know whether that's the appropriate word or not. You fall in love. And I'm still in love, though I'm not in operations because we have now a very good GM. But still, even a scratch on that brand, I think of all people, it will really hurt me because it's just the way I feel.
I think if we all remember as to why we got in the business, we got in the business to make money, to have fun, and as long as we always remember why we got into it and why we love it and that journey of the adventure, I think Nando's will continue to grow through the rest of the world.
We live different lives. We dream different dreams. Yet across the world, our hearts beat to one unifying rhythm.
I've had the pleasure of being hired by landlords to come in and work with their restaurateurs to try to make sure, to try to improve their businesses, and in many ways making sure that they successfully rank well in all those categories. Not only the 5 categories of what makes a good restaurant, but the 7 magic questions so that their name, their presentation, their design, their exposure, the way they treat people, all of that goes to the congruency of putting together a good restaurant concept. I've also had the privilege of working here in the Emirates, and I've been to all of the Emirates in order to find out what the people would understand and then come up with the merchandising plans to put together the right kind of restaurants. Who are they? What are the brands that we could bring over? What can be franchised? Because nobody can operate here better than the people that already have supply chains and staff and their own culture. I'd like to open the floor to questions if we have that. Not all at once, please. Do I see a hand over here? No, I guess I didn't. All right. My name is Paul Fetscher. It's been an absolute pleasure being here. It's great meeting the people that I've had the pleasure of meeting. And while I've told you about the overall role of food service in the shopping experience, I think we're going to invite back our most genial host to take us to the next level before we get released.
Paul, thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure, sir.
I'm going to let you take a seat now because we're going to have lunch soon. I do have questions. I would like to grab an interview with you for my radio show tomorrow morning, but I'll let you take a seat, and I'll harass you about that a little bit later on. Listen, we're going to break soon. First of all, though, this is really important. In some ways, it is the most important thing we're going to hear over the entire 2 days because it's Valerie Cammiso. I think you all know who Valerie is, the Executive Director and President of the ICSC Foundation. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the philanthropic arm of the ICSC, and it is such an important part of what they do. Valerie is responsible for things like education, scholarships, community engagement. Valerie, please.
Thanks, everyone. Last year, David invited me to come here just to tell you a little bit about the ICSC Foundation. I'm really appreciative that I get to do that again. I want you to know just a little bit about who we are and how you could or should be involved in the ICSC Foundation. The first thing is that we are supported by a very, ICSC, we have a very supportive parent organization that helps us with everything that we do. We are the philanthropic arm of ICSC, so everything that we do is charitable, but always to benefit the retail real estate industry. We're different than ICSC. I mean, ICSC Foundation. ICSC is a membership organization, has members, they pay dues, and the ICSC Foundation is purely charitable. So we rely on donations. And we just do important things with our money. Our 2 main areas of focus, as Richard said, they're scholarships and fellowships. We help undergraduate students, graduate students, and also professionals we help them attend professional development courses. We believe in investing in education. We believe in trying to get the best and the brightest students, academic students, to choose our industry as their career path. We also believe in taking people who are already in the industry, maybe don't have the support of their employers, and helping them get to the next level in their careers. ICSC provides their own schools. There's a school here in Dubai, and we give scholarships for those. Right now, we've had some really, really great success with our scholarship winners. We take a look at, we follow our scholarship winners. We want to see that, we want to make sure that we invested in the right people. And right now, we've got 93% of all of the scholarships we've given out over the years, 93% of all of those people are in retail real estate. One of the things we're looking at right now for this particular region are maybe internship programs. From what I understand is maybe the scholarship and the tuition assistance may be not as important as the work experience. So I'd like to talk to you about how an internship program might work where we can get students involved in some of the big employers in our industry and getting them some work experience. Besides scholarships, the other area of focus is community outreach. Shopping centers don't always get the credit that they deserve for holding some of these campaigns that help their communities. We hold different competitions all around the world. We want to recognize the best campaigns in each region, and we give out what we call an ICSC Foundation Community Support Award. And these are the organizations that demonstrate the highest level of social responsibility. If you were at the awards ceremony last night, you saw that we gave an award for Arabian centers, and they actually broke a world record, which is remarkable, giving out the most blood glucose tests in 24 hours. And what the whole point was, they were trying to raise awareness for diabetes, making sure that people who have diabetes know that they have diabetes. We also gave out we mentioned 2 other shopping centers and the work that they do, raising money for prison inmates and their families who don't really have the wherewithal to raise money on their own and have the funds that they need. And in February, we're starting a brand new competition. It's for retailers. And we know that retailers are also doing some really great work, and we want to recognize them as well. For those of you, the 2 Merit Award winners, excuse me. One was the Red Sea Mall, and the other was Muscat Grand Mall. So, and those are just 2 of them. And we know that your organizations are doing a lot of great work. We want you to tell us about them. We want you to enter our awards. It'll be about another year before it happens. But the competition will probably open around May or June for the awards next year. And if your shopping centers are doing something great, tell us. We want to know. The application is really simple to fill out. Right now, we've got some scholarships that are open. The John T. Reardon School for Professional Development. You can go online, go to our website, icscfoundation.org, apply for those scholarships right now. We really want to give out awards in this area. Part of the scholarship, it's not only just going to the John Reardon School, but it's also coming here to Recon Mena. And if you can imagine, if you're somebody young, you're starting out in the industry, you may not get the opportunity to be here. And sometimes that's just as important as going to the school and getting your education, because there's a lot of talent in this room, there's a lot of experience in this room, and those that win the scholarships are very grateful. Sometimes scholarship winners don't look the way we think that they look. I'd like to read you just 2 quick quotes that I have from scholarship winners. The first one is somebody who maybe you're thinking would get a scholarship, and this is what she wrote to us. I'm truly honored to receive such a prestigious award. As the mother of 2 teenagers, my husband and I work hard to instill the importance of education and hard work to our children. This award not only helps us financially, it allows me to show them that hard work is rewarded. My husband and I are both in the retail real estate sector, and we were affected by the real estate crash drastically since we did not have education degrees. Currently, we are both full-time students. Again, thanks so much for your generosity. So we don't necessarily think of adults well into their career needing scholarships, but this makes sense, and these are some of the people we want to help. The other one is maybe a more traditional scholarship winner, and this is what she said. This award has come at a great moment in my life, as my father is unemployed and my mother is working to support both my father and younger sister. I am truly grateful and blessed because this award will help to pay for food, books, rent, and most importantly, tuition. I am thankful I will be able to put my mother's mind at ease for the upcoming semester. Thank you very much. This is why we do it. This is why it's important. People who want to be in our industry are important, and we want to be able to help them. I do want to tell you about, we've only had one scholarship winner in this region for the past several years. This year is the first time we've got a second scholarship winner, so we're really excited about that. I stood on the stage last year and I said I really want to give out a scholarship next year. And I would like to invite to join me on stage Faisal Algami, CSM, Mall Manager at Aziz Mall, who won a scholarship to the John T. Reardon School and is also here at Recon Mena. Is he here? Is he in the room? Well, we accept the award on his behalf, and we know that he's happy to be here because I've been talking to him the whole time that we're here. The last thing that I'd like to tell you about is our new focus on Recon Mena. We are going to dedicate some energy and some time to really making a difference in this region. I need to know from you what the needs are. I need to know from you what need that the ICSC Foundation can fill. We just are wrapping up a campaign. It's our very first fundraising campaign. We're really excited. Our goal was to raise $5 million, and we are almost there. We've raised $4.6 million already, which is similar to 17 million dirham. We're just 1.5 million dirham away from reaching our goal, so we think we can get there by the end of the year. And the direct impact of these dollars is considerable because we want to grow our programs. We want to grow what we're doing. Before the campaign, we were giving out 48 scholarships around the world. Now with this campaign, this coming year, we'll be giving out 79 scholarships. So I thank all of you who have given to our campaign, particularly Mohammed Alawi and Sharam Shamsi. To all of you in the region who've given, we're very, very grateful. And now, again, we want to work to provide some very specific programs to this region, specific scholarships to those in this region who need it. So if you've got any ideas about how we can help you best, please talk to me, come find me. My email address is up on the screen for you, and I really want to talk to you. So thank you, everybody.
Well, Valerie, thank you very much indeed for that. As I say, it is one of the most important things that the ICSC does. It is taken very, very seriously by the members, of course, in the United States and, as Valerie highlighted there, here in the Middle East and North Africa as well. So thank you for that. Okay, the chefs will be serving lunch imminently. Before that, it is time to meet El Presidente because there is a new president of the MECSC. He is Shane Elstrom, based in Abu Dhabi. He is here today, along with him, David McAdam of the MECSC. Please welcome them to the stage as your appetizer before lunch. Gentlemen.
Thanks, Richard. I won't take too long because I think most of us are getting quite hungry. I know I am, and as you know, we have the tables in here so we can bring the food in here to dine comfortably. But let me first say a few things. I wanted to thank everyone for their participation over the last couple of days and for what we've learned, and from the people who have created their time and effort and energy for what they've done. I know that Walter still has his panel session after the lunch, and I know we're all looking forward to that. And I know there's a number of things that are coming along. One of the things that happened on Sunday was that we elected a new board. And our board is very important for us because they give our team on the ground our marching orders to deliver on the vision that the board creates. So the first person that I'd like to talk about is Shane. He was elected as our president, Shane Elfstrom. He's from Abu Dhabi. Our vice president this year is from Jordan, Amman, Jordan. That's Salma Sasha. Thank you, Salma, for that. Our treasurer is Shakil Hussein from Dubai. Mohammed Alawi from Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. Marwan Eskandrani from Dubai, from KOJ company. Simon Wilcox from Riyadh. Khalil Al-Dubai from Riyadh. And Dalia Finch from Dubai. So what we've learned is that we have 3 new retailers on board, which is a huge change for us on our board. We wanted more retailers. We now have them, and we think that there's some great opportunities for us by having these retailers on the board. We also have a great distribution in the GCC now across our membership, which is great for our board members. And what I'd like you to do is please join me in welcoming them now, because it's great to have them with us. Lastly, we have great expectations for the program and big initiatives, and I know that Shane's going to talk and help us through a lot of them. First one was creating and updating our bylaws. We also have a slate of new regional representatives that are coming with us, and our board is just now finalizing that list. We will get these list of names out to you on our regional reps in the next little while. Anyway, Shane, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David. It was interesting. About 1 hour ago, David came to me and he said, I'd like you to get up on stage and say something. So I don't know how many of you have had this experience before, but preparation is usually a little bit longer than that. I was sitting in the lobby there, and my good friend Rachel said, well, Shane, it's not a problem. You're a natural. So my tip to you guys is if you practice enough, you can fool anyone. So thank you again. It's really my honor to serve for the next 2 years as the president of the Middle East Council of Shopping Centers, an organization that I believe in, an organization that I've been a member of since arriving in the Middle East, an organization that has given me more than I could ever give back. This year was an interesting year. One of the unique things that we did with the board was a wide call for nominations. So I know not everybody necessarily read the emails, but we did send them out to everybody. Everybody was invited to participate. There was quite a process, and we had online voting. So in my experience, this is the first time we actually have a mandate from the membership. We have a board of directors that was elected widely from all the members available, and I think it'll be a very, very good year because as I look at the board, it's a very strong group of people. Was anybody at the gala dinner last night? I think it's amazing that we managed to get 520 people into this room, and I really want to say thank you to the hotel, to the staff of the MECSC, and to the volunteers that came out last night. So thank you very much for that. I would like to say thank you to the outgoing board. You've been with us, most of you, for many, many years, and thank you very, very much for your service. And a very, very special thank you to Mr. Rashid Dole, our outgoing president. Rashid has been the president of the MECSC for 3 years, and he steered it in the right direction through some very, very difficult times. I'm standing between your lunch, so I'm not going to drone on for very long, but I want to thank you again for putting your trust in me, and I look forward to hearing everybody's feedback so that we can establish a vision based on your vision for your association. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Shane. Congratulations on your appointment. We're back here at 2 o'clock for a great session, our final session of Recon 2014 here in Mena, Retail Runway. Don't miss it. In the meantime, lunch is served. Let's hope it meets the 5 criteria that we had laid out for us just a few moments ago. Thank you indeed.